In this video, I'll explain a Chinese drama romance film called The Third Way of Love. The film begins by showing a calm atmosphere in the airplane. A man was suddenly disturbed by the cries of a woman named Zhu Yu. Zhu Yu was a lawyer and recently had gotten a divorce with her husband in Hong Kong. Her heart dam broken while sobbing on the plane, and regardless of how other people looked at her. At that time, Zhu Yu received a packet of tissues from a man beside her. However, she did not really care about his face. As she arrived at home, Zhu Yu found her sister became unconscious immediately because she would end her life. Luckily, she was still able to save Jessie. The doctor told that her younger sister had a severe depression, so that she needed the role of the family. Zhu Yu looked at her sister's phone when she had woken up. She asked, "Who is Lin Qijing?" After seeing a number of messages sent to the man, and her sister chose to remain silent. The next day, Zhu Yu had returned to the office. He was asking about Lin Qijing to his best friend, Gao. Zhu Yu heard a news that Qijing is the heir of Jilin Group. It was the workplace of her younger sister, Jessie. Zhu Yu went to Qijing's office with full of anger. Even she was not allowed to come in, she still broke into Qijing's office room. Unexpectedly, Qijing was the man who had given her tissue on the plane 4 days ago. Qijing told her that he had only knew Jessie as a new employee. He also never got a text from Jessie because he used to text her by email. Then, Zhu Yu finally understood that her sister who was too obsessed with Qijing. She asked her sister to stop working from this company. However, Qijing refused because every employee already had a contract with the company and couldn't just quit. Zhu Yu couldn't do much. She immediately left while kicking Qijing's room door out of emotion. Until at home, Jessie insisted not wanting to stop working, even though Zhu Yu had persuaded her. Finally, Zhu Yu asked for help to her friend in the office to change the contract of her sister with Jilin Company. But it turned out that this contract was too perfect that Zhu Yu could not demand anything. When she had just decided thinking of a new way to stop her younger sister, Zhu Yu received an emergency call. Her client tried to end his life from a building. He demanded compensation money from the contractor. It turns out that Qijing is the owner of this project. He was quite surprised to meet Zhu Yu there again. Qijing also suggested his subordinates to immediately give compensation money as Zhu Yu's request. The money is now in hand. As a lawyer, Zhu Yu have to meet her client at the top of the building, but Zhu Yu was traumatized by the heights, so that Qijing finally went up with her. As they arrived at the rooftop, Zhu Yu seemed to be getting weaker and her client was hard to persuade. Qijing tried to help Zhu Yu, who was unconscious. After the money was given, he immediately embraced Zhu Yu and brought her down. Because of Qijing's kindness, Zhu Yu treated him to have a meal at a simple restaurant. They shared stories for one another, and it seemed that Qijing was attracted to Zhu Yu. Even Qijing is a rich heir, but he is still willing to take one umbrella for two when taking Zhu Yu home. The next morning at the airport, Qijing picked up a girl named Xin Yao. Xin Yao had liked Qijing for a long time. However, Qijing only considered him as a childhood friend. The news Qijing and Zhu Yu about saving the life of a laborer has gone viral. Her workmate were envied. Zhu Yu and her co-workers were summoned to the director's room. Jilin Group wanted to seek for a new legal advisory board. Therefore, the director asked Zhu Yu for help in persuading Qijing to accept their law firm as the new legal advisory board for the Jilin Group. The director had threatened to end his life if Zhu Yu refused, so she couldn't help but have to do it. Their law firm was finally accepted as the new legal advisory board for the Jilin Group since Zhu Yu was succeeded to convince Qijing at the presentation. One evening, after celebrating the success of their law firm, a driver came to pick Jessie up to a bar for a meeting with Qijing. He confessed his love, but Zhu Yu thoughtlessly rejected him. To cheer her sister, she decided to plan a blind date for Jessie with other guy. She gave him a bad response, where she did a refusal for that guy. While Qijing never gave up, he called Zhu Yu to invite having a dinner in the house. He showed his sincerity to marry her, and again, he still found a refusal from her. She realized that was just a widow and used to think over it. Jessie was angry with Zhu Yu because she never had listened to her advice. Qijing kept rushing her love until he visited her office that she has let his call. Zhu Yu still rejected him, even he convinced her for several times. Xin Yao brought Qijing a lunch to the office. Even she has expressed her feelings, he was only confessed her as a sister. One fine day, Qijing had a business trip. He invited Zhu Yu as his company's legal advisor. During accompanying him, she knew a lot of stories that Qijing lived abroad since his mother died. And as was his costume in the morning, he used to drink a coffee in Junction, and it spent 1.5 hours to go there since he just wanted to see Zhu Yu every day. There came a desire to see Qijing in the cafe, so she went to him directly. Zhu Yu didn't talk much to him and just left. Then just let her called and asked her to wait for moments because he will be on a business trip for a week. Zhu Yu smiled and had suddenly loved Qijing. The day came where Qijing had returned from his trip. He asked Zhu Yu to wait at the airport, while Zhu Yu would go to Beijing to meet her client. After a long wait, Ki-jing didn't come because his flight was delayed due to bad weather. Ju Yu was worried that she hopes to meet Ki-jing after such a long time apart. However, at the last minute before Ju Yu checked in, Ki-jing finally arrived. He even went to Beijing with Ju Yu to let go of their longing for each other. They spent time together. Ki-jing expressed his feelings again, but Ju Yu still couldn't answer Ki-jing's question with certainty. After returning to Shanghai, Ju Yu met Ki-jing at his home. She returned his credit card given for days ago in Beijing. Ju Yu reiterated that she could not prioritize this relationship and let Ki-jing whenever he wanted to go find another woman. The life crushed of them since Xinyao came. Xinyao seemed to be disappointed to hear Ki-jing would marry Ju Yu. A few days later, his father was disappointed to see their date pictures in Beijing. The company got into troubles. His older brother embezzled a project money for personal needs so that the company was about to go bankrupt. Ki-jing had to leave for a while to solve this problem. Ju Yu was also aware. She even took him to the airport. However, unbeknownst to anyone, Ki-jing's father went to personally meet Ju Yu. He asked Ju Yu to let Ki-jing because his son had a big responsibility to take care of. For this sad moment, unexpectedly, Ki-jing has sat at his common cafe while watching Ju Yu from the window. They met again. Ki-jing held Ju Yu's hand behind a newspaper so that no one would know and take them a picture. He only visited her for a while and had to go back. Before he left, Ju Yu presented him with a packet of tissues like the first time they met on the plane. Xinyao came to visit Ju Yu's office. Xinyao asked Ju Yu to leave Ki-jing. Apparently, Xinyao prepared a prenup between herself and Ki-jing. The wedding agreement started when Ki-jing's father failed to attract investors, and he called someone that was Xinyao's parents. Since that they committed to be in-laws as soon as possible, Ki-jing went to Ju Yu's house. He was afraid that Jessie would know of his arrival. Ju Yu pulled Ki-jing to talk outside. Ki-jing assured Ju Yu that she is the only woman he loves. However, Ju Yu cried and asked Ki-jing to stay away from his life because Xinyao was the right woman for him. Her heart broken into pieces. She could not save her feelings. She cried and hugged Ki-jing's shirt. Jessie just remained silent to look at her older sister. The next day, Ju Yu kept herself to be strong, even deep inside broken, but still had to perform as a lawyer. When, however, she saw Ki-jing sign the pre-wedding inventory, tears were falling on their cheek. She had become depressed and went away to drink with her friend Gao. She was so drunk, crying out and exploding. The disillusions that confessed in front of her was Ki-jing. Then, today was the wedding of Gao. Ju Yu, who attended this agenda, was surprised to see Ki-jing's coming. She immediately ran away to avoid him, but he still could find Ju Yu, who was hiding herself behind the door. She cried out when Ki-jing embraced her. He brought her to his house instead of taking people's attention. At his house, Ki-jing wanted to turn the time where they first met. Ki-jing did not want to end up his life like his mother, who had a contract marriage, knowing that Ju Yu become a quiet calm. Yet she heard the phone was ringing. It was the call of Ju Yu asking her existence. Ju Yu told her lie, and truly she had known all. She noticed the way how Ju Yu speaks for some minutes. Before it, Jessie had listened to their conversation at the Gao party venue. She was a girl who do love Ki-jing too, then intended to end her life again. She stood at the top of the building where Ju Yu and Ki-jing rescued the workers the other day. Ju Yu was hysterical. He asked Jessie to come down. However, Jessie was too disappointed to learn the fact that Ki-jing preferred her older sister. She was desperate to jump. With all his might, Ki-jing tried to hold it. Thankfully, even Jessie let go of her grip on him. Downstairs was waiting for the fire and medical teams for her to survive. Ki-jing could only stand still watching Ju Yu get into the ambulance accompanying his sister. In the end, he realized that destiny could not accept their love. In short, Ki-jing ventured to move to Hong Kong, having his new life without Ju Yu. While he had got on his flight, the attendant asked him to remove all precious things from his coat before it hanged, and he found a scarf that Ju Yu bought for him while they were in Beijing. It was still in his coat pocket. Ki-jing was crying out as he remembered all their memories. As Ju Yu in Shanghai, she also cried as he crossed the pedestrian bridge that the Jilin group had built. Ki-jing named it as the Rain Bridge to remember the first time they came home together while raining. At the end of the story, we can find that there are three kinds of love. First, it showed when a woman cried at her flight. Second, a man who wiped her tears. Third was about uncertain answer, and finally the film ends. So, what do you think about the third love? Please write down your opinion in the comments column. This is a romance movie that presents a sad ending. Shu, who was a widow, had denied to love Ki-jing for the first time because she assumed that this rich man is a playboy. However, Ki-jing's sincerity made Ju Yu finally believe. Their love story experienced full of obstacles, starting from her sister, who obsessed with Ki-jing, the difference of caste that have to end up their relationship. As the title implies, the third way of love, which means 3 ways to love. We can learn that the first and second part has shown us about men and women who stand for one another. If we have tried and failed, then we have to learn as the third part is about how to let each other go.